Hi there and welcome back to Wheels of Interest, and we've got one, possibly two things to do on the Jimny before we can actually use it. It's actually ready to go on the road. It's got an MOT, it's been serviced, all of that stuff. You've seen all of that, hopefully, if you've watched the previous videos that we've done. But we want to tow with this, and we've got a job for it coming up in the middle of July, where we're going to Weeting Steam Rally in Norfolk, and we're taking our miniature steam engine on its trailer, and it's going to go behind the back of the Jimny. That's the plan. But at the moment, the Jimny has no tow bar on it. Now, it had a tow bar, and this is it. This is what's left of it, and it's in a pretty poor old state. And I can replace this if I part with some money in the region of around about 180 to 220 pounds, depending on where I buy it from. One identical to this. But I've spent quite a bit of money on this car, and I've got the material and I've got the equipment, so I've decided to make one. But I'll just take you around this old one first of all and see how bad it actually is. So first of all, the tow bar is made up with a piece of box section with bracket in the middle, which holds the tow ball itself, two bits of bracket, and then each end we've got two end plates, one at this end, one at this end, which bolt to the chassis. This part here, this ear, and then there's two ears over here, they were 90-degree angle, and I flattened them out so that I can make a template to make new end plates. And the original end plate was basically 8mm thick steel, and if you look where to see we've got the worst, some of the worst corrosion, it's actually now down to somewhere around about 3mm in the worst parts. So we've got a huge amount of wastage of steel on this tow bar. It's just ridiculous, really, and the strength has completely gone from it. Not only that, we've also got some issues on the box itself. I don't know if you can see on the camera there, but we've got some indentation there where it's corroded away, and it's very, very thin. The rest of it's all right, but I took the decision basically that this is not going to pull very much. So I've got the new one part fabricated. Okay, looking at underneath the car, so here's the end of the chassis rail and the body mount, and below that I've got a half piece of box section which I've welded onto the bottom of the chassis, and that is where the right angled ears went and bolted up through into that off the original tow bar. So I've got one of those welded on each side and here as well, and they're offset, and I've tried to make it so that if anybody puts on a prefabricated tow bar in the future, then these brackets will be in the same place as the original ones. Okay, so this is, although it's a bespoke tow bar that I'm making, anybody that wants to fit a different one in the future will have the same fixings as an original Jimny. Behind there is the captive bolt that I put in. That's this one here. I put that captive bolt in when I repaired the chassis. There's an angle bracket there which is original and I've left, and then what I've done is I've fabricated two end plates, one that side and one that side. They're different shapes because this side, there's the exhaust pipe coming from the front of the car. There's a silencer goes in that gap there, and then the tailpipe goes round that bracket, so it's a different shape to the one on the other side. The one on the other side is much more solid, and I've left them like this because I haven't got any 8mm steel. I've only got 5mm, which is what this is. So where I've lost the strength in the fact that it's not as thick steel, it's now a one-piece plate rather than lots of gaps and funny shapes. Not only that, where I'm going to bolt up to the box onto the chassis, I've added in quite a substantial thick piece of angle, which will give it some strength in the plate as well. So that's the plan, what I'm doing there. And then on the floor there, I've got a new piece of box section which I'm going to weld in. So basically all I've got to do is, I'm at that point where I just need to drill some holes into the angle so that they will then bolt up through that bracket there. Make sure that the plates are the right height, so they're both equal, and I'll measure probably from the top of the plate here to the top of the chassis, because that is going to be a common point both on the left side and the right side. If you try and measure from the floor, you've got to take into account the height of the suspension. It might be lower one side than the other, and it might be 5mm different. So a known point would be the top of the chassis here. So measure this, each end, that end and that end, make sure that they're both the same distance from the tops of the chassis, and the same on the other side. And then if I've cut the plates correctly down here, then they should be up, and then this bar should then be level with the chassis, and that's the plan. So that's what I'm up to. There we go. So there's my flat plate. There's my bracket with my holes in, tacked on the plate. Just give it some welding all the way around. Right, we've got the angle brackets tacked in, both sides. Got it all bolted up at the back, underneath. Incidentally, on the original, there was only one bolt on this side. The bracket on the tow bar only had one bolt hole here. There was not one here, it was not provided. So on this side, it had one at this end, the one at the back. Whereas on the left hand side, we had both of these were in, because there was two lugs on the bracket, on the tow bar bracket. So that's a bit strange, but anyway, we've got one in there, two here. We've got the extra one that we've added, belt and braces, so two on that one. Don't know why you wouldn't use two if you got two holes. But anyway, that's how the bracket was. The angle's in, and I've mocked up the crossbar, and I've measured that again from the front edge corner here to the top of the chassis up here, and that is 265mm from top of the chassis to this front edge, and the same on this side as well. So that's all square with the car. So if the car is lopsided, then the tow bar will be lopsided, but it's better than it being lopsided with the car and then than the floor. So I'd rather it be square with the car and not with the floor. Okay, so that's where we are. So I'm going to tack that in so that is then pretty much there. Measure it again before I do it, tack the bar in, and then I'm going to weld the whole thing all in one piece. .265, 265. The angle is angled with the exhaust silencer, and I've put this silencer in to make sure that when it's all bolted up. It doesn't when it's vibrating with the engine, because sometimes it will when it's possibly when you start off, the engine revs drop. Sometimes these vibrate and they'll knock. But I'm giving this a lot of travel. Well, I can make it knock by pulling on it, but yeah, that's a lot of vibration if I'm going to get that. And it's not hitting the tow bar at all, either along here or with the tailpipe end around on the bend on the other side. So I think we're getting somewhere, which is really good. So this is all tacked on here, tacked on this end, tacked to the end of the bar, tacked to the end of the bar here. Now what I've got to do is weld it all together. Just what we've got left to do. Brackets in the middle. Clean it, paint it, fit it. Well, I've got the tow bar back on and all bolted up, and it all still fits, so nothing's moved, which is good. And the last thing I've got left to do is weld on the brackets which hold the tow ball itself. And I've cut them off of the old bar, and when I cut the bar it was full of water. So there, it was just rotting from the inside out basically. So good decision, get rid of it, job done on that. The brackets are off. I've centre marked everything, measured from side to side, from there to there, make sure that this is absolutely bang on in the middle. I've squared it up with my magnetic square angle clamps, and just going to tack it at the top and the bottom underneath, and get it tacked on, and then I can weld it all in. Well, that ain't a bad job. Tow bar is in, and it's square, it's straight, more or less. What I didn't take into account, because I'm not a welder, and I forget every time you apply heat to something, it changes its shape. So this box section is no longer completely flat. It has got a bit of a bow in the middle here. So it sort of does that, but it's not, you can see it, but I don't think it's going to make much difference, because it's equal, because this is bang in the middle of this, and welding either side of these brackets has basically stretched and pulled in that it's contracted the steel, expanded and contracted as it's cold, and it's deformed it basically. Get my worms out. So yeah, there's a slight banana to it, but it's not hitting the exhaust, so I'm pleased with that. And of course, anything is subject to weak spots. I mean, if you look at these brackets here, this is quite thin steel compared to this part, compared to this part, compared to this. So you could argue that this might be a weak spot, but we've got this nut at the back, this captive bolt, which is captive now. It's welded to the chassis. It's got a nice strong bracket. It's got a nice flat end plate on the tow bar. Same on the other side. So we've sort of like improved the strength, or rather maintained the strength, I should say. It's probably no stronger than the old one, but I don't think it's any weaker because we've got so much extra material, and also we've got these extra angle brackets in it and such like. We've got some pretty heavy duty welding around it, and this again is 8mm thick, so this is pretty thick steel. 12mm bolts, you know, 12mm bolts here as well. I mean, the weak part possibly would be here, and I'm not a welder, so you know it could be that the welding is actually the weakest part. Still, if I'm following my son up the A11 in a few weeks' time and the trailer comes off the back of the Jimny, I'll know why, because my welding was rubbish. But we'll find that out as we go along, I'm sure. So really, that's that job done. I've just got to paint it and got to get it fitted back on, put the bumper back on, and the job is done. So yeah, another good day's work. Very pleased. And as if by magic, tow bar is fitted. Even treated it to a new trailer socket. These always rust, they're rubbish. I've got a metal one on there because I had that on the shelf, but it's the bit, that's the bit that never goes wrong. It's the bit inside, the bit you've got brass fittings, fine, but then you've got steel screws which are not treated, and they always corrode, and they're complete and utter rubbish basically. So I fitted a new one. The other one was corroded so bad I couldn't undo the screws or anything. I wouldn't have used it anyway, it was so badly corroded. But it's on now, that's done. Need to check that works, but I'm pretty confident it will because I've not changed anything in the bumper or anything. I've just basically brought the 7 core down into the plug, fitted it into the new plug, and good to go. Everything else, this has all been painted up, all been fitted in, I don't know if you can see, but yeah, very happy with that. It's well concealed, and this tow ball is removable as well, so save you banging your shins on it and stuff when you're in and out of the back here, because it does stick out quite a fair way for the spare wheel carrier and the door's closed. So yeah, it's a good job, it's done. And got one more little job to do, which is a 4-wheel drive. That's not important particularly, but I'd like to get it working if I can. And then yeah, we get to eating. Hopefully this will stay on and it's not going to come off as we pull in the trailer. Hopefully the 4-wheel drive will be working, so if it's wet we can get out of the field, or in the field even. But other than that, yeah, I'm happy. Another job ticked off the list. So please like and subscribe if you want to follow more of what we do on our channel. It always helps to have a like and a subscription if you're new. Like it if you enjoyed the video. Like it if you didn't enjoy the video. Comment if you didn't enjoy the video. Comment if you did. It'd be great if you could give us some comments on what we do. Do we do it right? Do we do it the way you would do it? How would you think? You know, is this helpful to you? Is it complete and utter rubbish? You tell me. I don't know. I just do this stuff. I do it for YouTube, and it motivates me to get things done. And I've got an awful lot of things done in the last 6 months, that's for sure. So yeah, like and subscribe if you enjoy what you see and what we do. Follow our mechanical adventures for more stuff coming along. And we'll catch you on the next one, which will be, for this, will be 4-wheel drive. And that's a big problem in itself, I think. Anyway, speak to you soon and take care. See you on the next one. Bye for now.